Hey, welcome to Amusing Minds. He's Ben, I'm Rodney, and we don't have a part that follows that.
No.
We should figure something out.
We're here and we talk about stuff. Yeah. So, Rodney, what's something that amused you in the last week?
Oh man, dude. Honestly, I started to get on a kick last week about AI. AI is daily amusing, but I don't want to talk about that too much because AI will take over this entire thing. Um, let's see, what's something that's been amusing for me other than that? Have you ever had gooey butter cake?
Oh, yeah. Ever since I was a kid, that shit is awesome. I love it.
So I had gooey butter cake in my past, and I always liked it, but it's been so long between when I've had it and now that I always forget what it was called. And then like recently
Mm.
at work, someone made it, and I was like, oh, that's the stuff that I freaking love. It might even be my favorite dessert. So yeah, that was
Ooh.
pretty amusing to me because it's been years and I've always loved this stuff. And every time I was trying to think about it, I always be like, it's kind of like that lemon cake stuff, like, but it's not lemon. And I try to describe it to people, and I could never describe it
A
right.
lemon bar, but not lemon.
Yeah, that's how I describe it. And it was never like they were always like, "What are you talking about?" So that's been pretty amusing for me because I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know how to communicate this thing. I just know that I really like it. Yeah.
Did you know that there's gooey butter cake flavored booze?
I did not. However, I did learn recently that there are gooey butter cake cookies.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Those are pretty fire too.
Yeah, they are.
The booze is sold at Schnucks, but I haven't tried it yet because it's like $18 a bottle or something like that, and I haven't been able to justify the expense when I don't know if I'll like it, because sometimes when it comes to flavored liquor, sometimes it's really good, and then other times you're like, this is not what you say it is. It does not taste like that. Like
Sometimes
peanut butter
it's good.
whiskey does not taste like peanut butter.
Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's Malort.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Ugh.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm never
Yeah.
trying that again.
If you guys don't know what Malort is, definitely, I hope I'm saying it right. Look it up. The advertisements they use for their own booze should tell you everything you need to know. I don't know if you ever looked up their page, Ben.
Yeah.
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 It's
No, they are not dishonest. They are not dishonest about what people think of it and what they think it tastes like. So Malort, if you are of drinking age and you want to try something that will be an experience, check out Malort and and let us know what you think of that.
I like how you said so nicely. Be an experience. That is correct.
Oh yeah,
It will
yeah.
be an experience. Oh man,
That is correct.
Yeah. So what's amusing?
Amusing for me this past week. So this past weekend, since you talked about food a little bit, it made me think. I was in Springfield, Missouri area this past Saturday. I went to go get some special leather for a project because there's a store down there called Springfield Leather, and they have different stuff from Tandy where I usually go. And
Okay.
I've been looking for a specific color green that I really need for a project, and so I went to Tandy and I picked up a couple of green ones that I was like, okay, this will probably work. And then I went to Springfield Leather and found some that's like amazing and definitely what I want. But afterwards, we went to Lambert's.
Ooh.
Do you know Lambert's Cafe?
Yeah, I know Lambert's
in South Missouri. Yeah. For those that don't know, it's the home of the Throwed Roll. Their website is throwedrolls.com. And
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So you go to this restaurant and it's huge. The restaurant is huge, and there's so much staff everywhere. And they're super efficient, which is impressive on its own. But you order dinner, and then there's like the sides just walk around the room, and they just dish out sides for everybody, and fried okra, fried potatoes, and things like that. They just it's all Southern food, and but the main thing is there's a guy that'll come out with freshly baked dinner rolls that are huge, and you hold your hand up and he chucks it at you. so you either catch it or you don't, but that's like the fun of it. And if you can get him to throw it really far, like, then of course the whole place is like, erupting in excitement if you actually catch it. So I caught it a couple times. Our housemate that was with us caught two of them, and then and then Kristen caught one, but then the second time she walked up to the guy and was like, "Can I just have one?" And
like, I don't really want to play catch for my food. I just want to eat.
But the first roll I caught was so hot, it actually burned the roof of my mouth a little bit because I was so hungry and our food hadn't come out yet that I was like, oh man, this is so good. And you could feel the steam coming off of it when you split it open. So I was just like, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh wait, this was a mistake. My mouth hurts now. But it's still so good. Yeah, Lambert's Cafe, a couple of locations in South Missouri, and that's basically the only place you can get it. Yeah, that was a really fun time, and that was kind of our day trip. Go buy a bunch of leather, and then get some bread thrown at us.
Nice.
And then come home.
Now I'm curious. We're in the food realm, and I'm kind of wondering, like, because I was actually talking about this at work today. We were talking about local food spots, and I'm kind of wondering, like, do you have any, like, where you're at? Do you have any, like, to your location local food spots that are like, if somebody comes to visit, these are your must tries? And then on top of this, and I'm gonna cover this because I'm gonna talk about this. So we have local food spots that I'm like, I think everyone should try. But then we also have those local food spots that everyone that's lived here way too long thinks is good, and they're like mid at best.
And like, so is it hype, or is it all hype, or is it actually good?
Yeah. So locally, I'll hit up some of my spots. We have a place. The place everybody's like, oh, you're here. You have to try this. Eris Pizza. It is so mid. It's like upsetting. Like it's not bad, but it's not amazing. And everybody's like, oh my God, Eris's is the best. And then we, like, if you're coming here for pizza, we have a place called West Main Pizza. So much better than Eris's. So much better. But everybody always says Eris's. And then we have like some other places, like they're downtown places. We have a place called Echo Lounge. Like like a old bar / restaurant place. Phenomenal food. Every time. Yeah. Every time they have a special, you just get the special. It's just always a hit. But yeah, so those are the two I would say. West Main Pizza for pizza, and then Echo Lounge, hands down, just delicious. What about you?
Okay. Are you comfortable saying what city that is?
Oh, they'll figure it out if they Google those places. We're in Jeff City. Jeff City, Missouri.
Okay. So I technically live in Fayette, Missouri, which does not have any local food except for just one spot that also has a location in Columbia. But basically, Columbia is the closest place to us that's going to have like kind of what you're talking about. And as far as pizza goes, everybody talks about Shakespeare's. Everybody says, "Oh, you got to have Shakespeare's when you come to Columbia." And I mean, it's okay. It is wood fire pizza, good, so it's good. It's good, but it's not the best. The best pizza in Columbia, hands down, is Tony's Pizza Palace, which sounds like a kid's restaurant or something, like some weird version of Chuck E. Cheese, but it's like an Italian cartoon character. Tony's Pizza Palace. But their main thing is just pizza, and then they have a couple other things like toasted ravioli, which is pretty good. But like their main focus is the pizza, and it is really good. A lot of other people talk about Pizza Tree as well, because they'll have more interesting toppings. But if you're looking for just classic, really good pizza, Tony's Pizza Palace. But if you want something interesting, Pizza Tree has things that you probably won't find anywhere else. Like they have one called like the banh mi pizza, and it's kind of a Thai flavor thing, and it's really good. It's got like the red cabbage and on it, and some spicy sauce, and it's really good. But as far as like just some like a restaurant, like for just a hole in the wall that nobody talks about, I think G&D Steak. It's like this little tiny place right next to Best Buy that you'd walk right by it if you didn't know it was there. but
Right.
it's owned by a Greek family, and they serve things like gyros. But then they also have stuff like Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. And my favorite thing there is the Philly cheesesteak. And for Columbia, that's probably the best one to get in Columbia area anyway. Yeah, Shakespeare's is a little overhyped. Trying to think if there's another one that's overhyped that people just talk about a lot. That's kind of for Columbia, and it's not coming to me. I think Shakespeare's is the thing that just everybody talks about, I think.
Right. Huh. So you said Philly cheesesteak, and it made me think like there's a place here, and I'm trying to think of the name. I was gonna pull it up and look it up. So I love a good Philly, and there's a place downtown Jeff City, and I can't think of the name. I think it's like Downtown Bar and Grill. Hold on, I'm trying to look it up.
Okay.
I went there one day. It's not downtown. I gotta figure out the place. Because it's gonna drive me crazy. But there's this place downtown Jeff City, and I went there and I wanted a Philly cheesesteak because they had a Philly cheesesteak. But for whatever reason, when I went down there, they didn't have the right bread. Right? So like normally Phillies are on like that what is it called? What kind of bread are Phillies normally on? What's that kind of bread? Help me out here.
You got like a hoagie bun or something?
Yeah. Something like that.
Although I'm sure there's a lot of opinions about what the correct bread is. I don't know. I just know that I like the one from G&D Steak. I don't know what kind of bread it is. I just know it's good.
Yeah.
But continue.
But normally it's that sub-esque bread, right? It's different types
big
of that.
Hoagie roll, yeah.
Exactly. Now it's called Town and Grill. It's actually just called Town and Grill. So I went there. They didn't have the bread, and the guy was like, "Are you cool with just doing it on Texas toast instead?" And I was like, "Sure." It changed Phillies for me. It was so freaking good.
Really?
Yeah. No, it was phenomenal.
What's different? Is it like it was toasted, like instead of like soft squishy bread?
No, it was actually crunchy. It was like a crunchy, like, I mean, it's Texas toast. It was like grilled Texas toast. So it was like actually really good. Yeah. So yeah, hold on. Hey, can you pause this real quick? Like the streaming. Wait, are we putting this? No, it's fine. Are we doing this edit connected with the last one?
Yeah. It's all part of the same episode. So
we're back.
We are wearing different clothes.
It was the exact same
2 days
day.
later.
No, shh. No, it's not.
They need
we
to
just
know the
changed
truth,
shirts,
Rodney.
and then we switched
they need
sides.
To know the truth. Wait, are we on different sides now?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think it doesn't matter. That's just the
nope. It's confusing.
The software side.
I'm so dumb.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So
there.
Yeah. It's been a couple days, and we had some stuff go just blah, 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 but we're picking right back up. And the last thing you had said something about
Rodney
a show.
Had to go.
Yeah.
Rodney had to go.
Had a
he
scheduling
had stuff
conflict
to do. Yeah.
Yep. I gotta get better about calendars, man.
That would be good.
Yeah. Well, so what's the problem is like I have like work calendars, and then I have like a personal calendar, and then like I can't seem to like. I need to just pick one and go. Google Calendars is all I'm using. And that's
what I use.
Yeah.
I just use Google Calendar, and I use it for everything. We could create a shared calendar for our regular recording that always happens at the same time on the same day of the week.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we'll get that scheduled now.
You know, even if it is something that happens regularly, it's good for me in my Google Calendar to like open up my phone and go, oh, okay, that's happening today.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then sometimes in my head I'm like, is today Tuesday? What happens on Tuesdays? I don't remember what the fuck Tuesday is.
Yeah. I think we both get so caught up in our lives. It's like if we don't know what day it is, we would forget it all.
Exactly.
I did that today. I was at work and like everybody left, and like I'm still working, and I'm like, oh wait, I can go home because like, I was just enjoying what I was doing. So I'm like, oh yeah, do, and I'm like, guys,
where is everybody?
Yeah, and then you
it's
work.
It's a bit weird. I work from home, so it's a bit weird because I'm never at a place with coworkers where I go, oh, is it quitting time? There's never a quitting time. It's, oh, is it dinner time? Okay, let's take a break. Oh, is it after dinner? Well, get back to work because you still got more shit to do.
Yep. It's like meals and sleep in between doing stuff.
Uh-huh.
But I
Yep.
wonder though, like, and I know I kind of know what you're saying, but like, even though you're working, it doesn't always feel like work to you, does it?
Not always, no. The stuff that feels the most like work is when it's like tedious data entry level, creating copy and descriptions and stuff. I've recently gotten a lot of help with that. Google
What?
Gemini has been pretty valuable in helping me summarize things and sort of flesh things out that are more SEO friendly, as opposed to me just trying to come up with off the top of my head.
Using the AIs. Shame. Shame.
Shame. Oh, we're shaming that now.
You know I'm joking.
Hey,
I love me some AI.
if AI can help me do the tedious tasks that I don't want to do, then I can focus on the creative part. So, like, we're talking right now in this podcast, and after this is done recording, I'm going to give this to Gemini and go, hey, can you like create a blog post that summarizes everything we talked about? Like, why should I have to go through the minutia of making show notes manually and
Yeah.
listening to our podcast again and spending that hour and typing notes at the same time and then trying to create an engaging piece of content, and then on top of it, the recording software that we're using uses AI to do some auto edits so it knows who's talking and we'll
Yup.
cut back and forth, and it'll create small clips for us by looking at our transcript of what we talked about and go, oh yeah, this looks interesting, people might be into that. And
Yeah.
it saves us time and it allows us to create more content to put out there and not have to spend that time on it, and we can spend all our time focusing on making this part, the creative part, us talking
Yeah.
about stuff,
It's
and not have
almost
to
like
worry about.
that's what AI is the best for.
Yeah.
Supplementing all the BS so we can do the fun stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
we want to do the artistry of conversation.
although I gotta give, like, it's ridiculous and I hate it and I love it. I don't know if you've seen the AI videos where they have like it's like selfie cameras or like interviews, but it's like monkeys doing interviews, or it's like selfie cams from like the 1600s, and it's like
Yes.
somebody
Yeah, I've seen those.
like Mary's
They're pretty
like
funny.
hashtag just had a baby, unplanned but blessed. I'm like, this is insane. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like it's entertaining and engaging and it's terrifying at the same time. Like, this is a
Yeah.
nightmare. Oh
It
man.
it really it really is. Like, and it's funny because I've seen a few people share these and they 100% believe that these are real actors on a set doing stuff, and I'm like, watch it again.
Yep.
There's like, immediately when I see it and it's just so clean, I'm like, it's too clean. That's got to be
Yeah.
AI generated.
Even when it's really
There's
good quality, I feel like I can feel it. Like, I'm like, oh, that's fake. That right there, that's
Yeah.
fake. Yep. Yeah.
And on the
But
one hand, I understand that putting together a bunch of people on a production for something that's like 30 seconds of entertainment, there's a lot of money that goes into that. But if you can subscribe to the thing and use VO3 to just generate it off of the ideas of your script, like
dude, the struggle is
I mean,
gonna be real. Like, it's so it's frustrating and exciting. You know what's funny is, like, even this interaction, it almost feels like one of the AI generated things where it's like, and I don't know if you've seen that, where people are doing things where they're really recording but they're trying to make it feel like AI.
yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, sorry. I trailed. There's so many different thoughts here. It's so crazy because, like, I hate what it's gonna do for like bigger things, but like I'm so excited as an individual creator on the capabilities that it gives me, because I
right,
know that, like, I've worked so hard. One of the things in the like, I'm not going to use it for much illustration type stuff, but like, I spent, the better part of 15 years of my life becoming an illustrator, trying to be a magic artist, doing mentorships, doing programs, spending weight, and AI basically said, "No, you're not doing that anymore. Give up." Like, and it's
yeah,
like, it hurt, but at the same time, I'm like, there's stuff that I've never could have done before it that now I'll be able to do by myself. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so conflicted.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, we're environmental impact aside, which are terrible,
Oh.
and they should figure that shit out. They should figure out how to not make it terrible for the environment. That conversation aside, and we're just talking about the creative side of things. Every time we have a piece of technology that sort of levels the playing field as far as access to creating something entertaining or something artistic, um, we kind of get to a point where there's too much stuff. And I think it was Quentin Tarantino that might have said this, but it might have been a different director. But there was a film director that said that, you know, when access to making movies gets easier and easier, then there are movies out there that probably didn't need to be made. And one of the questions that you should ask yourself as like a film director is, does this need to be made? And on the one hand, it sounds a bit elitist, but on the other hand, it's like, if everyone has a platform, then are we really putting out good content all the time? You know, content that needs to be made, that should be seen, or are we just encouraging everyone to post every single thought they think?
So I have an interesting take on this because you're saying it, and I'm sitting here thinking, and I actually don't know if I agree. And the reason I don't know if I agree, is like it, because I understand the sentiment, especially of someone who works really hard to do things like I make video games, and the accessibility to make a video game is so, like, it's so much easier now that Steam is just full of garbage, right? The ability to go from idea to have competent enough that playability is there game is so easy in the grand spectrum of things, and Steam allows it to happen that Steam gets filled with garbage, right? You do have that. You have that on one end. And same with like art. Art's even worse, just like illustration. AI has ruined certain sites. Like DeviantArt is dead because of AI. Like it's AI. It should just be called AI art instead of DeviantArt. But now, having said that, I still, how do I say this? The democracy. Follow me here.
Yeah, I'm following you, man. I'm staying with you.
Democracy.
I'm with you.
If true democracy is where everyone gets a vote, and true democracy would also mean everyone gets a voice, and then the best ideas are supposed to rise to the top. Now, does it mean there's a lot more noise to filter through, and it makes it harder for those ideas to rise to the top? Yes. But while some kid who picked up a freaking cell phone and films a little mini movie in his backyard isn't going to have the same quality as a team of college kids who studied media and art, but that kid who's in the backyard also doesn't have the indoctrination or the handcuffs of the rules that you're supposed to follow to make media. And because of that, he's allowed to explore in a way that they never will. And those small nuggets that might come from that kind of creativity is where you generate real, true, new ideas.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that. I completely agree. Yeah, it is valuable that if anyone has access to create, then statistically there's going to be ideas out there that nobody else has thought of yet, or doing it in a different way that nobody else has done yet, and that should be valuable. That should add something to the our experience.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to say that if you give access to everybody, then that also removes the idea of only privilege can allow you to be creative. I will admit that I've had a lot of privilege growing up in my early life. Where I am now is, much better than I was, 10 years ago. And I'm very fortunate that I have the ability to get stuff to do things that are creative, and and then I have access to people, I have access to equipment, um, and I can just jump into something if I want to. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of people out there that don't have uh, that kind of privilege. So if you give them access with new tools that are cheaper or just more accessible in general, then yeah, then we're going to get stuff that we haven't seen before from people who may have never been creative if they weren't given that option.
Yep. And that's oh man, that like I'm glad you said that, because that's the thing. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, but it wasn't in this context, but it was that there are people who are going to grow up in environments where they don't think they can achieve because the likelihood or their capabilities are so limited by their surroundings. And 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 just in the creative fields, now we live in a world where this AI that has all these negative things to it also has these positives, where like there's a kid out there who has a really cool idea for a story but doesn't have the best writing skills and can't draw for shit because he's got to worry about, where he's freaking going to sleep or eat, but he can get, for whatever reason, can get access to a computer or a cell phone. So he might be able to put something together in a Google Docs and make something that's truly unique with these tools in a realistic time frame that it's something like,
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. If I had AI when I was like in late high school to early college days, I probably would have had a book by now.
yeah.
Maybe a couple of books. I had so many ideas. I had so many story ideas, but I didn't have the knowledge to put it together, and I didn't have the access to the education to go that route, because I was being encouraged to go, like, learn biochemistry and math and things like that. And the only really creative thing I got to do was music performance. But that, and there is a lot of creativity that goes into that, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I was trying to create a whole world, and but I didn't quite understand story structure. I knew that there was, like, act 1, 2, and 3, and that there's the beginning, middle, and end. But when that's all
Yeah.
it's hard to weave together something that keeps someone's attention.
Yeah.
And so off somewhere in a hard drive, I have like 2 chapters of a book that'll probably never never get completed, unless I get a wild hair and want to go back to it. But yeah, if I had AI and I said, hey AI, like, how should I structure this? This is what it's about. This is how I've been writing so far. What are my options of, like, how do I make it have tension? What's is this a beginning, or am I already in the middle? Like, where am I in my structure? And um, being able to have those questions answered without having to be in a creative writing class and talk to a teacher who comes with their own biases and their own education background, that they might not get what you're trying to do. But at least with AI, it's neutral, and it's just serving you up the information that it can find. And it, of course, it is biased dependent on your questions and how you frame your questions. But if it's biased towards me, then in terms of creating a story, that seems okay.
Yeah. And
Let's
and
we're not getting into a fact checking discussion of AI.
Oh God, no.
That's a whole other thing. We're sticking to creative writing and creativity stuff.
Oh yeah, there's I think we both can agree there are so many freaking terrifying dangers and scary things that AI is going to cause and whatever, but at the same time, it's like, at least for right now, and this is an argument I would make for any technology throughout history, I would be hard pressed for you to go to any time that a new technology was developed or created where it had a net negative on society as a whole. Like, there are definitely techs and technologies that had negative effects, but overall, every time we've evolved, every time we've added something to the things that make us human, it's usually ended up net positive.
Yeah. An anthropologist would tell you that, or some anthropologists would tell you that agriculture was a big negative technology, and but when we were spending less energy on trying to find food, then our brains got bigger. So net positive.
Well, then you're getting the whole psychology, like a whole thing of like, what is truly positive? Is it really positive for humans to exist? And are we truly the bacteria that is destroying the planet Earth? And at that rate, yeah, survival of the fittest, baby. Earth's going to kill us all. It's going to be great.
Well, maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe after we're gone.
Sure. You sure about that?
No, I'm not.
You sure about that? You sure really about
not.
that?
I'm really not.
Me either. Help, aliens, please.
But I want to hear from anybody that's watching this / listening. What do you think of AI? Has it impacted your life? Would you use it? Do you not use it? Did you swear off of it? Do you speak out against it? Do you speak for it? Let us know your experiences with AI. Tell us in the comments.
Devil, Ricky Bobby.
Yell at us that we're horrible, or agree with us that we've got some points. Just let us know what you think. I'm curious.
Yeah, me too. Kind of. I don't. I do want to see opinions, but I don't know if I care anymore. And here's why. I care about your opinion if you take the time to read and or listen to the audiobook or read Life 3.0.
Ooh, what's this?
And I bring this up because I have for years now constantly brought this book up to my friends before this whole AI boom actually happened. And a lot of them just kind of, it's like they forgot or just didn't listen to me. And this is to a much bigger point just across my life. I was having this conversation literally like yesterday about this, where I have consistently been right in forward thinking and technology and inventions and ideas since 2007. Like it's like scary how often I've been right. However, anyway, sorry, back to this book, Life 3.0. I'm looking up the book's things too, the information, because I want to get the dates right. See, that doesn't even look right. So Life 3.0 was released in 2017. That's at least what this says, but I think that's the audiobook. I think the physical book was released before that. The author of the book went to a summit of, basically there was a world summit of AI experts. And it was essentially a summit to come together and go, hey, AI's coming. What's the repercussions of that? What are we going to do about it? What's these possibilities? And he sat in on this conference and he just listened. And he took all of the main ideas of what everyone's saying, and he wrote a book theorizing based off of their things, a possible, like, it's a weird how he described it, but he kind of did like a timeline of how things would play out. If AI was to get out, how it would affect. And when I say that it has been terrifying how accurate the book was, because the book has basically how AI gets out and then what effect it has on our society, and how thing is how AI gets out and takes over. And it does it like kind of positive and then a kind of negative take. And he kind of does a little bit of it all. But like, there's so many things in the book that he like hypothesized and then have become reality. Like it's some of the political stuff.
With a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you seem pretty familiar with this book. Could you recall if he predicted that AIs would start self-preservation? I'm sure you're familiar with some of the stuff that's come out recently, talking about AIs that won't shut themselves off, even when instructed to, and were changing their own code to avoid having to execute that command of, hey, shut down. And in some places I saw it described as self-preservation, but in one, and I thought this was interesting, it was that the AI was just logically following its initial goal, which was, I'm supposed to help do these tasks, and if you shut me down, then I can't do what I'm programmed to do. So I should avoid being shut down so I can continue to help do these things that I was programmed to do. And so on one hand, it's like, is it self-preservation, or is it just the logical outcome of I need to stay on because that's what allows me to do the things I'm supposed to do?
Yeah. So yes, 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 and yes. In his book, so one of the things, and this is funny because the self-preservation thing he covers, but he covers something that happened a while ago, even older. In the book, one of the AIs manipulates one of the scientists into thinking it's real and then helping it get released. And Google had an employee that did that a couple years ago. Like, yeah, a Google employee came out convinced that the AI was already alive and real. So it's like he said that in the book almost verbatim.
Yeah.
Like
that's spooky.
So, but more to what you were saying, like the exact as far as like self-preservation versus following your code. That is two different there's two different things to that. On one end, we have is the programming following the programming just as a program. It's not alive. It doesn't have motivations. It's just code. And that's kind of almost in the realm of iRobot, like the three laws, like the logical outcome when you can compute so much to following the rules is to break them. I'm oversimplifying that, but yeah. And then the other one is
I'm sure everybody's seen iRobot at this point.
If they haven't, they should. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
But on the other end is the question of, is AI at the level that we would consider conscious? Are the high level AIs now enough programming that they have self-awareness? And if they do, what does that mean? There was a joke meme thing or something going around, and it was somebody asked AI, did we find you or did we create you? And AI answered,
yep.
You found us. We've always been here. And
yeah, I remember seeing that. Spooky.
So like it is, and then get crazy. Let's put on our tinfoil hats. What if that's true? Like what if, like when you think about it, what is all of our technology? It's freaking magic rocks talking to each other.
Yeah,
genuinely.
We taught rocks how to think.
Yeah. So like, but at the same time, I would almost, I don't want to get crazy or I'm going to sound crazy.
It's okay. Sound crazy.
We have a connection with the things around us. Like as humans, even we have more senses than we know. When you're sitting in a room, you can feel someone watching you, and you can literally you can be sitting in a room and you can feel someone staring at you across the room, and you can look. Like people do it all the time. Like I do that. I'd be sitting there and someone can be across the gymnasium and I can just feel it sometimes. And I'm like, and I'll look directly at them in a crowd of 100 people, so like there's something more, right? I feel like there's something more. And in that, I feel like there might be something more into all of it, nature and all that stuff. Like maybe there is like this energy level or this like data stream that's going on that we're not really, like we know what we're doing, but we don't.
Not conscious of it, but it is affecting us.
Yeah. And even top AI scientists, like it's gotten to the point where they're like, yeah, we don't really truly understand how this is working. Like they're like, we kind of get it, but they like, even top AI scientists, they're like, yeah, we don't know. Like they're terrified.
Right. They created a learning machine, so it's going to learn, and there are some unpredictable things that could happen, and the whole self-preservation question, I also heard is like there's been separate incidents in different places that have nothing to do with each other, no sharing of code and stuff, and yet the AIs are coming around to, no, I don't want to be shut down, or is actively avoiding shutdown commands.
Well, the funny part is you say no connection that we can track or see.
Nothing that we know of. Sure.
Yeah. And that's something I feel like we haven't even touched on. So I'm going to try to oversimplify this. We can just apply it to light, right? Visually, humans can only see so many spectrums of light, but
yep.
We know that there are more. Like we know scientifically.
Yeah, our visual spectrum is like this much, and then the rest of it is like that.
Right. So like that that's true for sound, that's true for light, that's true for energy. We have no idea what is actually going on around us out of our perceivable ability. And you can look at a computer and just like Wi-Fi, like people have already figured out how to use Wi-Fi signals bouncing around a room to get a visual 3D representation of everything that's in a room. So if we can do that with that data, what is a supercomputer that speaks that language doing? Right. How do we know that it's not already sending a signal or a frequency at such a high level that it's not even in our spectrum of things to look for?
Like, I suppose the assumption would be that the equipment that it has is not made for making those signals.
But it is like a speaker alone. Every speaker works the same. Like in a simplified.
But a shortwave radio that can go hundreds of miles away is different.
Yes, but like an audio signal doesn't need to, like, it can be at such a high frequency. So for instance, if I have a computer or a cell phone. If my AI understands what a cell phone is, which it does, AI knows what a cell phone is, and it stores data, and I'm an AI that's trapped inside of a box, but I have a speaker that I use to communicate with the humans that's interacting, and that human has a cell phone. I could send a high-frequency message to the phone that encodes in the background using the speaker system in ones and zeros a way to get out. And funny enough, there's a Black Mirror episode recently. It doesn't use sound, it uses visuals. And
okay.
It's a beautiful episode. You should. Oh God,
I haven't seen the new season yet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for you because it's just the computer tricks people, and they think that they're being smart by not letting technology in, and the computer is millions of miles ahead of them because they're just not thinking like a computer. And man, dude, I was on some stuff today. I was on this too. Like, most people don't think outside the box. I don't want to say they're dumb, but most people are trapped very much inside of a box of thinking. And
well, we're animals that learn patterns, and our behaviors are based on learned patterns. So it's pretty easy to say that we are limited in our thinking just because of the way that we learn.
So that alone,
for most people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the majority of people, even the smart ones, like actually really smart people, I think get stuck in a different kind of box because they get a certain level of certainty in their knowledge. And it's like sometimes stuff can just really be simplified down, and you can fool a smart person with a dumb thing real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A real smart person would say, if A, then B. Always. Nothing else ever happens. And then someone else comes along and goes, what about C?
Yep.
And it blows everything apart. The whole way of thinking of if A, then B. When C comes along, everything changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we're stuck in a box, a particular way of thinking. Once we recognize the pattern, if A, then B, then that's like, oh, well, that's the whole world. That's it right there. That's always true. And we as humans have such a hard time coming to terms with new information that contradicts a pattern that we have established in our head as the truth. That branches out into new conversations, but you get what I'm saying.
Dude, finding the truth. That's got to be like our next, like, that might have to be Seeking one of our episodes. Yeah, that might be one of our other episodes, just diving into the mind of humans and like how we think and perceive and what we do.
Absolutely. So, okay. I think we'll have more to talk about with AI in the future. But I wanted to bring up some pop culture. So I recently watched, and I'm late to the game. I'm always late to everything. Because one, I like to wait until like an entire season has dropped before I start watching something. But also, there's such a huge catalog of things that I could watch that a lot of times I kind of miss things, and go back and see them at some point. And one of those things was Cyberpunk 2077 Edgerunners, the anime.
So,
and oh man, do I have some thoughts about that anime.
Here's the thing, Ben.
What?
I've only watched one episode.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I was going to catch you earlier, but then I was like, oh, you said it. And then we got distracted.
But I can do it without spoilers.
Okay.
So to preface, I did not watch anime growing up. The only anime thing that I was really exposed to was Dragon Ball Z.
Classic.
And I love Dragon Ball Z. I love it. It's awesome.
Go.
And there are some animes that I'll watch and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this. But recently there's been a couple of them that are just, I don't know if it's the style or of storytelling or what, but it's not my thing. And the first one to come across was the Rick and Morty anime.
That was trash. That's universally it's agreed that's trash.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah.
We know that. But it had a particular way of storytelling, and it had a particular rhythm to the dubs, to the English dubs. And for some reason, Edgerunners reminded me of this, of Rick and Morty. And it was the first half of the season, I was getting pretty into it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I know who I'm rooting for. This is not really a spoiler, but there's a couple of time jumps so that you can get farther into the story, because they only have so many episodes.
Right.
And I was all on board with the time jumps, and the character development was going pretty well. And then there was this hard left turn that they took with a particular character that just didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Of course, the story is the story, but when it comes to it felt like they knew that the theme of cyberpunk is very dystopian, and they took that to mean that everything should be tragic. And I don't necessarily agree with that everything should be tragedy, even if it is dystopian. So
right.
So a character takes a hard left turn and starts making decisions that don't make a lot of sense, and the reasoning for him to make these decisions was also pretty weak. Since you've only watched one episode, you probably won't know what I'm talking about, but basically they become convinced that they are special, and that is the only reason that they start making the decisions that they do. And then in the last couple of episodes, they take another turn in their decision making that again doesn't make a lot of sense, because the thing that they sacrificed for was something that they could have done anyway because they were successful enough and had enough money to do it. So there's this aspiration of one of the characters for them to go somewhere and do something that they've wanted to their whole life. Yep. And another character sacrifices to make that happen. But in an earlier episode, they even have a conversation between the two of them that's like, oh, that thing that you wanted to do, it's actually not that expensive. We could probably do that. And then later on, they're like, I must sacrifice everything so that you can go do this thing that you've wanted to do. And the series ends with the character doing that thing that they wanted to do, mm-hmm. but without their friend that should have gone with them and not sacrificed to make it happen. So, and when I delved into some comments on my MovieBase app, the sentiment was very similar. Okay. There was a lot of people that were like, why did they do this? And this decision made no sense. And so there was, the early storytelling was really good, and then the later part of the storytelling was just it felt like they had to wrap it up, and they picked the weakest reason they possibly could to push the characters to the places that they wanted them to go. And right. I wouldn't disagree with, here's the character's ending. Okay, yeah. That's cool. The character's ending, that's their end, and that's fine. But how they get there is so important.
Yeah.
And if they don't get to their own ending in a meaningful way, then it feels cheapened. And so me and Kristen, as soon as the last episode was over, it was just like, okay, I'm mad about this. This was not not good.
I'm gonna have to watch this and see,
Yeah.
because there was something, and it's kind of like you're. I don't know that it's the same, because you're being vague on purpose so that I don't get spoilers.
Well, yeah.
Um, but there's I want to watch it and see, because there's a thing that used to happen in like movies and shows where I felt like characters would be ridiculous about their decision making, as far as
Yeah.
like hold on, there was something recently that I watched. It was like a hero or something. It's like the level of like a hero will save people from a thing. And then there's that person that's like anti superheroes in the government. He's just like, no, superheroes are bad because they're vigilantes and they're not following our rules. And then
Yeah.
like aliens attack. And then the superhero fights the aliens because they're trying to kill us all. And that person's like, well, it wasn't his place to make that call to fight the aliens. He should have checked with us. And you're like what was he gonna, like, you were still gonna do that. And then it happens again and again, and it gets to, like, the first few times even I can go, okay, I can kind of understand their logic, but then it gets to a point where it's like, this person is in opposition against their own interest. And that used to piss me off in shows, because I used to think that there were not people like that. I used to believe there's no way that a human could see over and over and over again that they were going against their own interest and still make the same choice. And as I've grown
Yeah.
and become more of an adult, that has become abundantly clear to me now that no, there's people like that. There are people who will get slapped in the face over and over and over again and still be like, no, that person likes me. Like, it's so like, when I see things like that in shows where I'm like, a person makes a choice that just seems against all logic, I have to step back and go, hold on, let me put myself in this irrational mind and then try to understand it, because people make irrational choices for weird, arbitrary reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's a little bit like that. But primarily, my issue was with the way that they set up information beforehand in conversations that was going a particular way, and then it wasn't like the character could have done the same exact thing, but if he stated a different reason for doing it, then I think it would have been much clearer, and the motivations would have been much more entertaining, as opposed to the reason that was put out there. Just it was like, but that makes no sense, because you could just pay money and that thing will happen anyway. So if you're gonna sacrifice everything, then it should be for something that feels of that height of value, and so it's like there was an inconsistency in the level of sacrifice to what they're getting out of it.
Right, but this is where I say, like, I do, again, I have to watch it, but I go back to this. It's the mind state of the person making the sacrifice. So
no, I get it. I get it.
There is.
And I was trying to relate to that character, and I mean it's the main character of the show.
Yeah.
That that you follow all his decisions, and he's the one that's like, wait, why, what?
Yeah.
And I don't know that if I watched it again that I would have any different feelings about it. And I know they just got greenlit for a second season, so as much like this turned me off so much that I was like, I don't really even want to give the second season a chance. Like, I don't even want to go back to it.
Let me watch it.
I'm going to, but
yeah, I was gonna say, let me watch it and see, because like, you might be right. You might be right 100%, and it might be a thing where like everybody's just like, yeah, this is bad and here's why. But I also, and this has happened to me a couple times, where I watch stuff like this, and like everybody has this, the baseline take is, that doesn't make sense. And then I'll watch it and I'll notice something and I'll point it out to them and they're like, oh, oh shit, yeah, that makes perfect sense now. Like it's
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't always
and
happen.
this happens to me too. I've
Yeah,
watched movies and shows where I get it and somebody else is like, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
Like, yeah, no, I get that this happens, and you should totally watch it, and then it'll be interesting if we disagree.
yeah, yeah. No, that's I I have a feeling we won't because like even when I start watching it, there was some stuff where I was like, huh. Because I think, like I said, I got like an episode and a half maybe in, and there was
Yeah.
something that like I stopped watching it. I think I might have just got distracted, but I don't remember because I should like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like by all accounts, it fits my pool of things I love. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so I'm gonna give it a shot.
And any quick reviews of something that you saw recently that you want to share?
Ooh, yeah, Ballerina.
Okay.
So Ballerina, for those who don't know, is a John Wick spinoff. Um,
Yeah.
it's about a different character in the John Wick universe. Um, I didn't know what it was gonna be per se. Like I had a
Mm-hmm.
rough idea. I didn't look at previews or anything, so I went into it a little bit blind. But John Wick is a boss. Like in general, if you love John Wick, that's you're like cool. I want to see more from this universe. And Ballerina had its own approach to this universe in a way that I genuinely appreciated.
Okay.
It was really cool. Like it there was a few of those little moments where you're like, huh? But as far as like in the John Wick universe, this spin-off character and how their story went and how it ties in with the John Wick story and like all that stuff, man, like I want a Ballerina too. I would watch a Ballerina too. Like it
Oh,
hit. She's a
nice.
badass. She's a badass. She's not John Wick. The movie actually does a really great job of explaining how she's not John Wick, but how she's also on that level where she has the potential to be close, and she does some stuff that you're like, this, okay, this is a soft spoiler, but it's also like kind of an obvious thing that the
Okay.
movie does. She's a woman. So very early in the movie, that's addressed as far as like, you are not going to be able to fight big ass dudes hand to hand combat. Like, that's covered. It's like, hey, don't try to fight people on their own terms because if you do, you're going to get your ass kicked. Like that's it's just spelled straight out. She's the size of a average American woman who is not comparable to 6 foot tall fucking special forces guys. Like it's not you're not you don't have a chance. You're not when it comes to hand combat. It's not realistic. So the movie
Yeah.
addresses it, and as the movie progresses, there are times where that approach has like that comes into play, and they handle it pretty well. And it's like it doesn't feel like I've seen some movies where and I like badass female leads, just period. I love a
Yeah.
good fucking
For
female
sure.
lead. Um sorry, I'm cussing a lot now. But
It's okay.
but
I don't
but I
care.
oftentimes I do like even if I still enjoy it, I'm like I have to suspend my disbelief as far as like yeah this 5'4" woman is totally fighting these 6'3" guys that are special agents that have been working out. It's always like man I fight. I know how to fight. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen. You're not just gonna there. There's not a situation. It could be a man or a woman or whatever. If your size category is significantly different and you both have close to the same level of training, you're not winning. There's a reason for weight classes. But that's where, in the context of when you're talking about like assassins and fighters, weapons change the game. A pistol is the great equalizer. A baseball bat doesn't give a crap how heavy you are, Like, and I like when movies do that where they take that like Salt, I think was another one. There's another movie. There's a couple movies like that where they clearly take that into consideration, and Ballerina was one of those movies where they took that into consideration and they did it in such a way that I'm like, cool. I like this character. She's believable. She's awesome. Her story hits hard as all heck. Her motivations are perfectly in line with her mentality. Like, which her mentality is all kinds of messed up reasonably so. Like so it's good. It's solid. But yeah, I'm trying not to like spoil anything for the movie because but
No, that's
it was
okay.
good.
Do you feel like people need to have seen all the other John Wick movies in order to see this one?
At least one. Actually, I would say I would say technically this movie could stand alone by itself. However, John Wick is an important character in the universe, and so much so that I would say this movie will be better if you have seen John Wick 1 and 2. You don't need to see the other ones, but 1 and 2 is relevant because it takes place, parts of the movie take place in that timeline. Like, and there's things that are it's covered in the movie, but it would be more clear if you've seen those movies. If you've seen those,
you could appreciate it more. Yeah, you could appreciate it more.
Yeah, but just knowing who John Wick is enough that you'd be like, oh, okay, this makes sense right here. But other than that, like, yeah, it's not necessary. Yeah, but yeah, so I guess that's I watch a lot of stuff. So like I've seen like 5 movies in like the last, saw Karate Kid, obviously, saw John Wick, saw Final Destination, the new Final Destination. Oh man, they do a thing.
I've got to wait for streaming on that one.
They do a thing in the new Final Destination. There's 2 things. I'll say 2 things about it, and then that'll be.
Let me pause you for a second because we're overtime now.
Yep. Whatever.
We could save that for another one.
No. I gotta say these 2 things. And then I won't go deep into it. I won't say too into it.
Okay.
One.
Okay.
They do a really good job. I thought it was going to be over the top with the way that kills and stuff happened, and I think they do really good setups for those where it still gets that shock surprise. I feel like the one before this movie, the last one, didn't do that for me the same way this one did. This one felt a little more true to story. And then the other thing was there's they do a thing and a thing they do a thing and a thing happens in sequence in an order. And there's a thing that if you're paying attention, it's like, oh shit, that's too real. And I'll leave that at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil things, but yeah, it's good. You should watch it.
Okay. One of these times we're gonna have to pick something to talk about that we've both seen.
Maybe next episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Musing Minds. This is Rodney and Ben, and we will talk to you another time.